Assembly Member Hall.
Hi. Can I talk to you about the pilot scheme, because that from Palantir, because that seems to be separate. Is that going to continue?
Chair, I'm not in a position to discuss either the pilot scheme or the scientific contract for reasons I hope you'll appreciate. There is a procurement process in relation to IT contracts and contracts generally. And one of the things that MOPAC is discussing with the Met Police Service and indeed the supplier is whether the correct processes were followed.
I don't really understand that, because the pilot scheme has gone ahead and that has brought up incredible results, as you well know. If you're looking at results very, very quickly, and of course the pilot scheme was brought in so that 500 members of staff could be lost because the AI could do their work for them. Now it would appear that 500 members of frontline staff will have to be lost if this doesn't go ahead. But the pilot scheme has started and is going on. So I just want to know if you're at least going to finish that part of the process.
Chair, can I speak in general terms for reasons I hope the Assembly will recognise? Pilot schemes in general are a pilot, and what happens normally is there's then a procurement process which are followed. So as and when any pilot comes to an end, you'd expect there to be a procurement process.
So you can confirm that the pilot scheme will carry on until that is finished?
Chair, in general terms, pilot schemes carry on until the pilot is concluded, and then there's normally a procurement process.
Okay. Did you know when you made the decision that you weren't going to be using that particular company, that there would be another round of very tough choices? Because we've just been through a round of very, very tough choices with the Metropolitan Police that not one of us is happy about. Clearly, another round is going to go ahead. Did you think about that before decisions were made?
Chair, regardless of the UOA decision, the Met Police Service was always planning to have to go through another round of difficult choices. And one of the things that we know is because of the cumulative impact of cuts over a number of years, those tough choices would go to not just 26, 27, but 27, 28 as well. And they were discussed indeed during the budget process before Christmas.
I watched the policing board yesterday, Mr. Mayor, and they were very clear there that they are that rolling out AI and technology across the organisation, but it is clear that the decision will limit how much it's used across the full range of criminal intelligence work. So, in effect, are you comfortable that the Met will use technology for HR, but have to solve crimes with pens and paper?
Well, the Met Police Service already uses technology in a whole host of areas. One of the things I'm incredibly proud of is how we've rolled out, in a proportionate way, live facial recognition, which also uses artificial intelligence. And there are a number of other crime fighting as well as administrative matters which AI is used, not just in the police service, the fire service and TfL as well. And we are in favour of technology being used. In fact, we've been challenged in the courts by those who are unhappy with us using this technology. So I'm very comfortable with technology being used, but correct processes have to be followed for obvious reasons.
Yeah, the Commissioner is rightfully furious. You can tell that by the letter or his statement from yesterday. You ask him to do a job properly, then you tie his hands behind his back. And now he can't do anything about that. Tell me, do you have confidence in the Commissioner?
I do have confidence in the Commissioner, but the Assembly will be aware there's been a history of public sector IT contracts going tens of £1 million over budget. This is waste. That could be used for frontline services, which is why we have strict procurement processes in place. And indeed, during the budget process at the last plenary session, the Commissioner was rightly challenged about the wastage of tens of millions of pounds in IT contracts.
Mr. Mayor, the Labour government proved yesterday that they can't keep us safe as a country. You are clearly not going to be able to keep us safe in London, because we're going to be losing hundreds and, well, over 1,000 more police officers. Putting this contract in place could have saved us frontline officers. I'm going to have to leave it there, Chair, but like your Commissioner, I am absolutely furious about this, as indeed Londoners should be.
Sorry. Assembly Member Mahfouz, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You said there is no place for hate in London, and you've called it out both here and abroad on issues of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. We see, of course, daily images from the West Bank, children being denied schooling, residents intimidated, injured and killed on their own land. We saw last week the horrific images of a 7-month-old baby being killed in the back of the family's vehicle. Iron Londoners very much welcome what you have said this morning in terms of condemning the Sunday's Expo being hosted in this city, and alongside the comments that we've already heard from the Foreign Secretary, where she has been very clear that the wider issue is that nobody in the UK should be advertising illegal settlements, and of course they are illegal under international law, under UK law, and in most countries across the globe. Can I ask you how quickly will, if there is evidence that illegal activity is taking place on Sunday, how quickly will that be followed up and actioned by the police?
My understanding, Chair, is there are similar unlawful cells taking place in other parts of the world. I think New York and Canada, and I could be wrong. There could be other places as well. I think the international community has been unambiguous in calling this out for being what it is, which is illegal. And I think what you're seeing is a coordination, I would hope, between those who believe in international law calling this out for what it is. And it's really important we don't condone illegality. Can I just make this one point, which is tangential, but it's very important to say? Nothing that happens in the West Bank or Gaza can justify anti-Semitism in London, the UK, or the Western world. And we've got to distinguish the actions of these settlers with Jewish Londoners, Jewish people across the UK, and Jewish people across the globe as well.
Seconded. Yeah, thank you.
Assembly Member Ahmad, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I know, of course, that you cannot go into any detail about the issue with Palantir, but on a broader level, could you talk about why following a correct procurement process is so important to best value for Londoners, please?
Well, Chair, there have been a number of examples where members of the Assembly rightly have challenged the Met Police Service in relation to procurement in the past, in relation to, in fact, IT contracts. But generally speaking, the public sector, when it comes to the awarding of contracts, has to follow correct processes. And I can speak from experience in other areas where there have been processes that have been followed. We've still been challenged in the courts. We've won those legal challenges, but it's really important to follow correct processes. And I'll give a hypothetical in terms of if you are a supplier that feels the process wasn't correct and you could have bid for the contract, you will not unreasonably think you've got a legitimate grievance. And that's why it's incredibly important for not just processes to be followed, but processes to be seen to be followed as well. I'm speaking in general terms. It's really important I caveat what I've said in case that's used in some way in any legal proceedings.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Chair.
Assembly Member Wilson, please.
Thank you, Chair. So back briefly, if I may, on to the Palantir contract. You mentioned there's a lot of comments from lobbyists. I'm not particularly interested in the comments from the lobbyists. What I am interested in is the comments from the Commissioner, who I think we can call him all sorts of things, but I don't think anyone's ever called him a lobbyist. And certainly the comments that he made yesterday were very robust in indicating that this decision will now have a significant impact on policing, frontline policing, and the ability to keep Londoners safe. So we've just been through a kind of lengthy and complex budget process, which is always very challenging. If the assurances that have been made during that process were predicated on the potential for making these savings, does that whole process now not just look like a complete and utter farce?
Well, again, I think we're in danger of trespassing into what would have been a contract with a supplier. So we've got to be quite careful. I mean, I'm not going to go over the words of the Commissioner yesterday. Suffice to say that we already had in plan, it was discussed at the budget setting process before Christmas and after Christmas, the challenges in terms of Met Police budget 26-27 and indeed 27-28.
Have we done? Okay. We now move on to the questions on the priority order paper. Each group is allocated an amount of time to ask their questions that is proportionate to their size. The first question is titled Decision Making from Assembly Member Hall.
Thank you, Chair. Can I thank the member for her question? It's the decisions I've taken since becoming mayor over the last 10 years that have helped us make huge strides in building a fairer, safer and greener London for everyone. I'm proud that we've now provided more than 120 million free school meals to state primary school pupils. It's noteworthy that some Assembly members made the decision to oppose this policy, which is ensuring children are now receiving a healthy, nutritious meal every day and saving parents around £500 per child per year. Last year, London reached the lowest homicide rate in recorded history per capita. 2025 also saw the fewest number of homicides of victims aged under 25 in London this century and the fewest teenage homicides in almost 3 decades. This is hugely encouraging and proof that the decision I made for a public health approach to tackling violent crime and to be tough on crime and the causes of crime was the right one. Of course, one homicide will always be one too many, but these impressive results are the product of our deliberate strategy to drive down violence. Again, some of the Assembly took the wrong decision by opposing the increases in funding for the Met from City Hall over the last 10 years. Another decision I'm proud of is the rollout of ULEZ London-wide, which has had a huge impact on the quality of air right across our city. But despite the clear evidence that toxic air pollution stunts the lungs of children and is linked to a host of life-changing illnesses, there were some in the Assembly who made the decision to oppose the ULEZ. The facts now speak for themselves. ULEZ is working. It was a tough decision, but clearly the right one. There are other decisions that I'm proud of as Mayor, introducing the Harbour bus fare, keeping TfL fares low, increasing funding to tackle rough sleeping, creating over 1 million positive opportunities and providing mentors for London's young people, building record numbers of council and affordable homes, and crucially standing up for London's values. The common thread that continues to run through everything I do is a desire to ensure that all Londoners, irrespective of background, race, sex, religion, disability or class, can get the chance to reach their full potential.
Unfortunately, Chair, I don't have time to list the amount of disastrous decisions this Mayor has made, so I'll have to wait for another time. Thank you.